Right then, hello there, Vicky Head. Thank you so much for spending time with me today and showcasing your work as a FAB Business Club member. So my first question that I'm going to ask you is about how long have you been in business? So it's a nice, easy one to get you going.
About 11 years. So I started my business really. I think I started really with photography a bit longer than that, probably in probably about 14, 15 years ago. But then I started my business properly in 20 as 2011 rolled into 2012. So kind of about 11 years or so. And it's really evolved over that time as well, I think, from where I started and the types of photography I was doing then. And I was teaching photography then a lot more as well, and lots of different things. But I think over the time you find more of your niche, and you find the things where the work and the clients that really appeals to you, and things evolve. So it's changed a bit over the time as well.
So when you say you were doing it for a few years before you started doing it, what do you mean? What were you doing then? What was that all about?
So I've always been quite an artistic person. I had kind of art was sort of something that I did quite a lot of, and I have a big background in theatre and performing arts as well. And I first got involved with a camera, I suppose, before that, and I was taking more and more photographs. I was taking more photographs at different events. I really started to learn about photography and dig into composition and why things were working aesthetically. And then after that, I did some courses. I did my degree, which was a huge learning curve because it wasn't just about how to use a camera or the history of photography, although there was, elements of that. Because it was a commercial photography degree, it was very much dug into things like advertising and marketing, how it works, why it works, how you create and embed messaging into imagery. And that was the bit that really fascinated me. Details I find very fascinating. And the power that photographs have. So you can understand why advertising is such big business, because it's powerful stuff. It has a big impact. As part of my degree, I created my Cluedo inspired project, the collection Mystery at the Mansion. And the thing that I really loved about that was the details, the layers of detail, and deliberately creating something where there would be things within the image and within the photographs that people might not see. And they might be able to look at the image again and again and again and only spot it, on the seventh or eighth time. And there's deliberately some things that are very subtly placed to make it become more of an experience in terms of, similarly to the game where you can work out who you think the guilty person is. But combining alongside that, I did a lot of study into really like political philosophy and looking at how imagery is used in the press, in the media, the impact with stereotypes, the impact of, my dissertation was about cultural hegemony and the, how women are portrayed in the media and the impact on women in politics, in business, in positions of power. So there was lots of different things that really excited my brain going on there. And at the same time, I was assisting a photographer. So there was a really well-respected photographer who I became very good friends with, and I used to work with him and assist him. We would do workshops, and he would run workshops all over the UK and beyond. We used to run retreat workshops in Paris and, have a lot of fun, but I learned so much from him as well. So, he, along with some other photography mentors, really shaped my growth and shaped my knowledge, all at the same time as I started my business. And
Fascinating stuff.
yeah, it was really interesting, exciting times. And in the beginning, I really liked the diversity of photographing lots of different things. So I was very much, willing to work, got a camera, willing to work. And I did, lots of weddings, portraiture, babies, pets, events, you know, as well as things that I do much more of now to working with businesses. Over time, you know, I've niched that down much more. So occasionally I still do some of that work, but it's much more focused now on working on for commercial and branding, things like events, maybe some product photography, but working largely with businesses and business owners. And where I used to teach photography, and it was much more focused on teaching people camera skills, whether that was just hobbyists who want to know how to take better pictures on holiday, or college and degree students who are really looking to become photographers. Now I actually work much more with business owners, and it's about helping empower business owners who know that they need to use images and that images will have a big effect for them on their website and socials, but don't really know how to do it in a really effective and successful way. And I find, you know, it's I want to be an ally, really, a photographic ally, and help empower people to have a bigger impact.
So it's very much you know, you say that whole a picture paints 1,000 words, then it absolutely is, isn't it? The way that you approach photography is very much about all those subtle layers and
Yeah,
and the storytelling aspect of it, rather than you're not
yeah,
somebody who's just sort of got a camera and, you know,
yeah,
points and
yeah,
shoots. There's a
yeah,
lot more to it than that. So
definitely.
as far you've sort of touched on this already, then what actually is your favorite thing about your work? So you've mentioned about working with business owners, and events and things like that.
Yeah.
What would you say is your favorite thing about how you work and what you
I
do?
think people, the relationships you build, the connections you make, I think everybody has a story. And sometimes how people perceive brand photography can be quite generic, and people just think, oh, brand is your logo or your theme colors, or it's um you know, some set photos of, you know, here's me holding my coffee cup and here's me leaning against a wall, you know. Yeah, that, all of that. And whilst I'm not saying that you can't use images like that within your socials, brand really should be the thing that distinguishes you from other people. It's about showcasing your personality and showcasing the products and services that you offer. And it should make you stand out. It shouldn't look like everybody else's photographs. But everybody has a story. Everybody has their life, their experiences, you know, their values, the things they're passionate about. And so it then allows me to work with people in a much more creative way, because it's like, how are we going to depict that? You're absolutely right. A picture paints 1,000 words. And whilst everybody sees the value in video, and video is hugely important, you know, for lives and for videos. However, watching video means people have to invest time to watch it, to listen to it, the same as reading copy. So still images, whether it's photographs, graphics, all of that will have a much more powerful message much, much faster. And that's the way you capture people's attention, stop them scrolling, pique their interest a little bit. So they're wanting to dig down and find out more about what you've got to say, what you've got to offer. And that's where you then get them involved with your copy, with your videos and the other things that you've got for them to find out more about you. Capturing that interest in the first place is vital. And similarly, it's also making sure that you're not inadvertently doing something that will make people bounce away. Otherwise, you can feel like, you know, everybody's got their blinkers on. You're there, but nobody's seeing you. You've got to be that, you know, capture the attention and really grab it.
I love talking to you about your work because you're so passionate. And it's like, I feel like, so, you know, you're a bit like me when I get going about mine. It's like, you know, those dolls you used to pull a string out and then it's like, blah, blah, blah. It's brilliant when somebody's so passionate about what they do that it just sort of oozes out of your pores. What's your least favourite thing about your work then, Vicky?
Oh, all the boring stuff, you know, admin.
Admin.
Yeah, all the things that you know you've got to do, and you have got to do, and it's important to do, but it definitely is the thing that I'll try and find something else to do instead, you know,
Yeah.
really.
Or outsource, maybe.
Outsource. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So what do you wish you knew? I can't then. What do you wish you knew then when you first set up in business that you know now, what advice would you give to yourself back in that day?
I think if I were going to advise my earlier self, it would be probably more about staying in your own lane. I think it's really easy to get comparisonitis, to get imposter syndrome, to get hung up on what other people are doing, or should I be doing that because they're doing that, or should I be charging this because they're charging that? And it's a distraction, isn't it? It distracts you from what you're doing. It distracts you from the direction you want to go in. And it can make you feel unsure, and sort of maybe deliberate or hesitate over something that actually you do feel quite sure about. So I think that would be my advice to myself. It would be just, the things that that you're doing in your business, that you're doing well, or you've got a good vision for what you want to achieve. Just put your head down, put the blinkers on, stay in your own lane and go
Trust
with it.
yourself, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think there's a real thing, isn't there? Even if you know that you really absolutely and you're going for it, it's a confidence thing as well. I think when you first set up, because you've got all these other things going on, and you kind of like you have to be really quite ballsy, don't you, to sort of like ignore all that. And it's something that we all, I think we as we grow and we get more confident as we get older with what we're doing and more experienced, that helps. But it's kind of like if you got somebody saying that to you a few years ago, then it might have helped you take less notice of all those distractions and things.
I definitely think so. And I think knowledge helps confidence. So when you feel, sure that actually you do know what you're talking about, then it is much easier to feel confident about, well, I do know this, I can do this. But I think that confidence is a crucial thing, and it's easy sometimes to let the little inner voice take charge more than it should. You need to just sort of dacker down and think, no, I can do this, I've got this.
Absolutely brilliant advice. So obviously you've been a member of the FAB Business Club, or FAB Network as it originally was, since the early, once I first started. What was it about the FAB Business Club that drew you in the first instance?
Well, I would say you and the other people that I could see that were flocking around you, because I'm hugely about people and relationships and connection and conversation and communication and collaboration and, all of the things where that's very people sort of centric. And that if you've got some really good people who are gathering together, then there's going to be good things that come from it. So that was the initial thing for sure.
Brilliant. I do appreciate all my members, but that's really nice to hear that, because I think for me it's very much grown and growing. It's so much, it's what I really wanted, but it's even better than I imagined it could be. And it's hard to describe to people what's different about it. So when other people are saying, that kind of thing, it really helps me to sort of articulate what is, what we're doing, what we're doing in the FAB Business Club. So what's your favorite thing about it so far then? Because obviously we've got the meetings, there's lots of other benefits behind the scenes. But what would you say if you had to pick one thing about it that is your sort of favorite thing about the business club? What would you say it is, other than people?
I would say just the camaraderie, really, and the support. So within things like the WhatsApp group, you see the support that there's there for people, personally and professionally. And I think things like that can be invaluable. Business can be a lonely place, can't it? Especially if people are, sole traders. I think having a strong network of support around you is really good, however you're doing. If you're doing well, it's the people that and cheer you on and help celebrate the wins. If you're having a wobble, it's the people there that can have a bit of sage advice, or some words of encouragement, or just advice, because sometimes you don't know what you don't know. So when you gather together loads of different expertise, you've got that to draw on, haven't you, from that place. And I think
absolutely.
sometimes if you're the thing when you say about what attracted me, sometimes the things that attract you to things aren't clearly definable. You know, I mean, sometimes you think, oh well, I want this because I like the color, or I like the price, or I like this, and all of those kinds of things can work. However, I think sometimes it is that the gut instinct of, I don't need to know all of the exact list of what I'm going to get from this, because I know that how the shape of it is going to be of value to me, and you know, be good for me.
Brilliant, brilliant. And it blows my mind when you think about the collective skills, knowledge, and experience in the group. And it's just sort of, if you think about all those years, it's
Yeah,
just like, oh, you
yeah,
know, it's absolutely amazing, and that we've got all of that at our fingertips at the end of a
yeah,
phone.
yeah,
Brilliant,
exactly.
brilliant.
Yeah,
Well, I do appreciate you being part of it, Vicky, and I know that I'm looking forward to hearing you speak, which is obviously one of the benefits of being a member. I'm looking forward to hearing you speak about the thing you mentioned about your Cluedo type
yeah,
talk on Thursday this week, which is 2nd of November. If anybody's watching this now, you might have missed it, but if you join, you can always go back and watch it because we record all the talks. So
yeah.
there you go. So if people have listened to this chat, Vicky, and thinking, oh, how do I get hold of her? How do I follow her? How do I find out more about Vicky and her photography? What's the best place for them to sort of hook up with you and connect with you?
Mostly you can find me like LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook tend to be the social platforms I go on. I do have others with TikTok and that, but I don't use them that much. To be fair, I should use them more. They're in all of my bios as well. There's my link tree, which has got lots of other ways that you can find out more, and you can find out more about things that I offer, such as the image MOT that I do, which is the moments of truth, which is where I help business owners just unpick what their images are saying about them and what messages they're putting out. It's a really good little asset audit, which gives people clear direction about how to just step up their visual game and fill any gaps that might be happening.
Well, I know I loved mine because I took advantage when you'd got an offer on earlier in the year, didn't I? And even though there's a lot of synergy and there's a lot of crossover between what we do, it just helps having a different pair of eyes, because I think sometimes you can be so close to your own business, you don't
Yeah,
see things that are glaringly obvious. And
yeah.
that there were a couple of things that you pointed out to me, and I was like, oh my God, yeah. Why did I not even get that? And it's fascinating to have that
There's,
insight, I think.
and I think there's nobody, no matter how good people are, and there's loads of things that you've got that are looking fabulous, but there's nobody that there's no room for improvement or no actions they could take. And sometimes it is that other perspective, that other pair of eyes, but it really taps into all of the knowledge that I was getting from my degree about the subconscious messaging that's embedded into images, and what that's saying about people. So I really enjoy doing that. There's details about my branding brochures. I've got some freebies that people can take. There's some couple others coming up as well. I've got a group coming up that's going to help business owners again with imagery in the next couple of months. So there's lots going on, but I always love to have a bit of a chat. I'm a talker, really. So as you may have found, I'm always up for a bit of a chat.
I
And
love our chats.
yeah, so do I. So do I.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today. And hopefully, you have piqued some interest for people. But I think what is absolutely essential for me to when it's that difference that sets you apart from just somebody with a camera, because it's so much more than that.
It
And
really
when
is.
people think not all photographers are equal, are they? And I think that's something that anybody who's watched this will absolutely be taken away from listening to you
Yeah,
speak.
I often think it would be good if you had to be sort of corgi registered or something, because I think people often don't know how to choose, and
Mm.
it's sort of there's not clear markers. But I think people often think that they'll say, "Oh, you must have got a really good camera. That's a really good picture. You must have got a really good camera." And you think, well, if you went to a restaurant, would you say you must have got a really good oven because that tastes really nice? And actually, there's a lot more craft that goes into it, as well as
Yeah,
a good camera. Yeah.
absolutely. Well, brilliant. Thank you so much, Vicky.
Thank
I'm going to
you.
see you soon.